Good morning, my friends. It is Ferdy, the creator of Event Photography 101, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And today we're going to be tackling the pain point within the technicals realm, and this is all about the darkroom panic. So let's jump right into it. It says, I'm scared my photos will be too dark, too grainy, or unusable. Alrighty, so first thing that comes to mind is, well, if you're in a dark situation, you definitely need a flash. Okay, we need to be the principle of illuminating your subject, whether it's with your presence and your aura, that's the ethereal light, but you need the physical light. Okay, what are we going to be sculpting? We need light to sculpt with. Okay, you need a flash. Obviously, you need a flash. If you don't have a flash, you're going to be looking for ambient light all around the room, and you're going to be moving your subjects near the ambient light so that they are illuminated. We need to see your subjects' faces. We're doing events. We need to see the MVPs. We need to see the guests. We need to see their faces. We need to prioritize their faces. So no flash, look for ambient. Okay, look for a fireplace, a TV, neon signs, moonlight, something, right? And move them there, have them face the light so that they're nice and evenly lit, or you can angle them so that half of them are lit or something else. But play it safe, go for the flat kind of lights, or maybe just a slight 45-degree angle or something like that, okay? But long story short, if you don't have the flash, look for ambient light. Now, I don't recommend going to an event without a flash. So let's just put that aside for now. And now let's talk about flash. You're scared your photos will be too dark, too grainy, or unusable. Well, using a flash will make sure to illuminate your subjects evenly and nicely, okay? So flash is key here. To make it usable, we need their faces to be seen and in focus and nicely exposed for, okay, to make them usable. We need to see their faces nicely lit and, sharp, okay? I'm scared my photos will be too dark. Okay, so number one, use your flash and put it in TTL mode, which is through the lens mode. It's pretty much automatic mode for your flash. You don't really need to think too hard about it, but just turn it on, make sure it works, do a couple of tests to make sure that when you're capturing someone or something, that the flash is working, okay? This does sound extremely obvious, but for our beginners who don't really know or haven't been in this realm yet, listen up. This is for you guys, okay? Now, for us to master these dark scenes and not panic and to dissolve that fear of them being blurry and grainy and too dark, etc. 1, get the flash. 2, use TTL mode. 3, do some tests and look for a guinea pig and ask for a guinea pig. And by that I mean go to a guest, ask them who they are, how they know the host, get to know them a little bit, like, oh, you're the auntie, or oh, you're the friend from uni, whatever. Just ask them, hey, would you love to be, would it be okay if you be my guinea pig for 10 seconds or so, or 30, 40 seconds, so that I can calibrate my settings and get my settings and my flash working so that it's all good before I start for the rest of the night. Okay? That's what I mean by get a guinea pig. Do some tests with the guinea pig. Now, let's just say you're taking the photos and they're still coming out grainy, dark, and out of focus. Let's tackle those variables one by one. Grainy means that it's mostly got to do with your ISO. High ISO means that your sensor is a lot more amplified and sensitive to light. Okay, and that is the culprit. That is pretty much the key reason why it's that the photo is grainy, if that is on top of your mind. If you're cautious about it being grainy, look to your ISO. It may be too high, okay? Now, in combination to that, when you're using your flash and you're using ISO, ISO amplifies everything, and that includes your flash brightness. ISO is changing the sensitivity of the sensor, right? So just keep that in mind. Let's now move on to the other variables, and then we'll bring them all together quite quickly later on, okay? So, too dark. Well, your TTL setting, look, the TTL automatic mode may not be the most accurate, but you can take over, okay? There is like a TCM mode or a TTL mode with exposure compensation, so that you can dial it up a little bit. So you're still in automatic mode. It's all good, right? But maybe you want to tell your flash, hey, you're underestimating these shots a little bit. Can you bump it up maybe 1 to 2 stops, or bump up the exposure a little bit so that my photos are brighter? You can tell your flash that in TTL mode, in the automatic mode. And you can also tell it to bring it down a bit. Whoa, it's too bright. My subjects, their faces have been nuked. They're completely white. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Now, you can also use the manual mode for flash. Push the mode button on your flash until it says M. And then you can flick up and down your flash power. A good starting point is 1/16, 1/16th power. Yeah, that's a good starting point. You can raise up your ISO to 800 or 1600 as well. That way you're giving your flash a bit of room and juice and a window so that they can work together, more harmoniously. If you raise your flash up to 1/1, it's going to introduce slow recharging, and that blast from the flash is just blinding. It's blinding. So just keep that in mind. Let's go back to our pain point here. Too dark. Raise up the TTL mode, bump it up, and tell your flash, hey, you're underestimating these shots. I'm going to bump you up. Exposure compensation, put it up by one stop or so, or 2/3 of a stop. And maybe that's still not working. Well, then flip it to manual mode. Tell the flash, hey, I'm going to take control of you. You're in manual mode now. I'm going to start off with 1/16. Take a test shot. Is the photo still coming out too dark? Is your subject, right? Is your subject coming out too dark? Your subject being the guest most of the time, or a birthday cake, etc. If they're still coming out too dark, there's a few variables you need to keep in mind. Number 1, the flash power. How big is that flash power? Is it big and juicy and it's got a big boxing glove punching you in the face? If that's the case, then it's probably 1/1, full power, or 1/2, like 50% power, or 1/4, 1/4% power, 25%. Well then, dial it down if it's too bright, right? Dial down your flash power to 1/16 or 1/8. Now, if your subject is dark, bump up the flash power. That's number 1 you can do. Or you can take a step closer. Okay, you can take a step closer with your flash, because the closer you get with your flash to your subject that you're photographing, the more exponential the brightening effect has. Okay, so taking one step may mean that one step closer to your subject, it may mean that your subject gets brightened by not by one step, but it might feel like they're getting brightened a lot more. Okay, so there's a little bit of an exponential effect there. I'm pretty sure it's called the inverse square law. It's all in the book. In terms of the name, inverse square law, I'm pretty sure that's the one. Now, flash power up or down, that's what you can control for variable number 1. Variable number 2, your distance towards your subject, okay? Variable number 3 is your modifier. How are you sculpting the light? Are you bouncing it off a white ceiling, or a black ceiling, or a red ceiling, or a wall? Or maybe you're just pointing it towards your subject, front on, with no bouncing. Well, in that case, it's going to change the feel of the light, and that will determine how bright your subject is with the flash and how soft the flash is. So it may be a bit darker. Okay, so keep that in mind as well. Now let's read the pain point one more time. Those variables are talking about brightening up your subject with a flash, and if they're still coming out too dark. Too grainy, it's usually got to do with the ISO. So you may need to bump up the flash power so that you can bring down your ISO, okay? Here's your ISO. We're going to bring it down to reduce the graininess and then bump up with the flash power, okay, to compensate for that exposure. Now, unusable frames. Okay, so too dark. Okay, so unusable frames. Unusable frames, let's define that really quickly. That's usually when your subject is way too dark and you can't correct it in post-production, being your editing, and or they're just out of focus, really. And when you're in dark situations, it does help to have a camera that can autofocus in low light conditions. For example, here with my 2013 camera, this is just a Fuji X30. It struggles to acquire focus in low light conditions. However, if there is some lights that are on and the ambient light is a bit stronger, you're going to get more usable photos of your subjects in focus. If you're using a modern camera, especially a mirrorless DSLR with a fast, bokeh-licious lens, and what do I mean by that? A lens that's allowing and bringing a lot more light. A lens that has a big hole. The bigger the hole, the more light you can let into your image, and that's going to help brighten the whole scene, right? All of the images. That's going to help reduce the graininess. It's going to help capture your subjects in clarity, right? And yeah, so a prime lens, they're usually called prime lenses. You can get zoom lenses. And now what's the difference really quickly? A zoom lens, you can stay in one spot and just twist the lens and you can zoom in and out. Okay, that's the gist. With a prime lens, you've got a fixed focal length, which means that you can't zoom in or out. You're going to need to walk this way, walk forward or backwards depending on the crop and composition you want. Do you want to get closer or do you want to zoom out? You're going to have to do that yourself with your feet. Now, using a prime lens is going to really solve these problems in low light conditions, okay? Most of the time, because prime lenses, you can get bigger holes, okay? Bigger apertures. So like 1.4 or 1.8, an f-stop of 1.8, 1.4, 1.2. Now you're really talking in terms of letting in more light. If you've got more light you can play with, it's going to be a lot easier for you to acquire focus, capture with less grain, and capture more, obviously in focus photos, but nicely lit photos, because you're not overcompensating with your gear here or there. They're all kind of nicely balanced. You're not relying on the flash to really pump out every time at full blast. A lot of, bright flashes, okay? And that can be disturbing for the guests as well, because, I have had guests say, "Hey, bro, your flash is way too bright. It's like hurting my eyes." And we definitely need to be cautious of that, because we don't want to blind anyone or hurt anyone, okay? So there you go, guys. Those are the first things those are the first things that come to mind when it comes to darkroom panic. I'm scared my photos will be too dark, too grainy, or unusable. Number 1, get a flash. Number 2, look for ambient light that you can use there. Use a shallow, use a bokeh-licious prime lens. A prime lens with a fixed focal length, and move in and out and let in way more light. If you can let in way more light at the end of the day, in a really dark situation, that means you've got more light to control with and more light to play with. You've got more of an ability to illuminate and expose your guests and the scene and the whole story, the whole event, in the light and manner that you want. And they, again, need to lead into satisfying your clients' goals and ambitions and deep desires, okay? Their needs and wants. Do they want to show off? or not? Or do they want to capture really nice candids of their family? Are they purpose-driven or SAS-driven? Whatever it is. Hope that helps, guys. Read the book. It's all in here. Everything is in here. Read it back to front. Read it 60 times. If you really want to get serious and have fun at the events and have no fears and just rock up, be present, have fun, and indulge your clients and your guests with a top-notch attitude and experience, and just aura and presence, read the book. Read the book, Event Photography 101, get it on Amazon. And yeah, shout out if you have any other questions or anything else that you want me to cover. I hope this helps. I love you lots, guys. And just shout out. If anything is confusing, just shout out in the comments and I'll do a video on your questions. Alrighty, guys. See ya. Bye. Have fun. Don't forget, have fun.